hit recording. Can you record your audio?
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me open that up.
Tight. Yeah, I'm gonna record my audio also.
And I'll tell you, if you want a something that does this so you don't have to ask your guests, Riverside FM is so good, man. Because it records their audio instead of you having to ask them. Like, especially if you have people who don't know how to do this.
Oh, but does it record it at the local quality?
Yes.
Really?
Yep. It's the best when it works. I mean, you do need to do or I do redundancies because every once in a while, if they have, you could fuck up and then the next thing you know, it doesn't upload their audio. That's disastrous. But this thing, over the course of the pandemic, I'm asking everyone, can you record your audio? And some people are like, I've got GarageBand. I don't know. So anyway,
GarageBand is actually not. I mean, so I started making music in GarageBand when I was really young. And do you know an artist called Boy de Bajan?
No, I don't.
Okay, so there's this artist called Boy de Bajan who I got introduced to via Tipper because he opens for a lot of Tipper shows. And this dude just makes all his music in GarageBand and then plays all of it off two Roland SP 101s or whatever, those two sampling pads. It's just the craziest fucking thing ever. That he makes, and his music sounds like really intricate, down tempo, delicate, very Foley-esque. Yeah, it's crazy, and he does it all in fucking GarageBand and Roland samplers. I was like, what the fuck?
That's amazing. I mean, I guess if we took GarageBand back to the 70s, early 80s, people would be like, holy fuck, what is this? This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. It's just because now we have all these other options that are I don't even know if they're more advanced because I don't use GarageBand anymore. I use Ableton and occasionally Logic, but now I'm mostly just Ableton. So I shouldn't even judge GarageBand because I have no idea what's going on with it at this point.
That's awesome. You're on Ableton now. What switched you from? Because I thought you were on Logic last time we chatted, right?
Yes. So the switch happened when I just realized that all the little songs I like to make for my podcast, it was more intuitive using Ableton to improvise songs and than it was Logic. I just finally figured out what I think is very daunting, was daunting for me initially. Because you the first time you open Ableton, you see that fucking spreadsheet and you're like, what is this? For one, you're like, this isn't advanced. This is Excel or some bullshit. You don't understand it at all. It's the most insanely horrifying especially if you're used to Logic and GarageBand. You just, discovering the tab key flips you over to something that's more like Logic. That was a huge leap forward for me. So, but then once I figured out the basics of it, it just became way easier for me to do that than it did to try to do all of it in Logic. I just love, Ableton is one of the most beautiful bits of software I've ever messed around with.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it basically just takes everything you already know how to do in stuff like email or your Windows computer or whatever. It's you highlight a thing, you press Control C, and then you can just copy and paste it somewhere, or you can just highlight a thing and cut it and just paste it somewhere. It's all the actions inside Ableton, I feel are just very relative to just computer operating systems in general.
Yep. But somehow it's really daunting to people. Whenever, if someone has really gotten rooted into Logic or probably even Pro Tools, and then you mention Ableton, a lot of times there's I can't, I don't know. I'm not going to fuck with that. Just because I think of that just probably because it just opens up on that first page. And I don't know the names of the different pages or what they call the spreadsheet thing, because I'm definitely not good at Ableton. I just use it, so I don't know any of the names of any of it, the bits and pieces of the thing, but God, I fucking love it. It's just a joyful thing to sit down on that blank spreadsheet page, put in some shitty beat, I've got a push, which is amazing, and then just fucking around on the synths over that beat. It's so fun, like for me, maybe it's so fun because like, well, I'm never going to do anything with it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think I just call those two views. I think the correct name for them is session view and arrangement view, but I just call it like clips view and linear view.
Oh, that's cool. That's better.
Yeah. Yeah, the naming stuff in Ableton is weird. They had to change some names in Ableton a while ago. They had an option where you could have a clip, and the clip could be the what was it? It was the master or the slave. So you could have a clip that was a master,
Yeah.
which would mean that that clip controlled the session's tempo, or it could be the slave clip, which means that it was slaved to the session's tempo. And they recently had to change it to leader and follower because of the 2020 whatever, the Twitter politics shit.
That's interesting, man. Wow, that's so interesting. I mean, it's so interesting because then but you simultaneously you do kind of shame the BDSM community, don't you? You like, now you're being super sex negative by like taking these terms that are like just basic parts of BDSM, and because I don't want a leader to spank me.
You want a master?
Yeah, I want a fucking master. I don't want some like Boy Scout. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't want someone who's like taken some leadership seminar and done trust falls. I want a master. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want a fucking master. If I don't leader, fuck that. Yeah, I don't want some fucking Rick from The Walking Dead or whatever his name is. I want a fucking, lich lord. If I'm getting punished, I want a master. But then I do understand, of course. I mean, those words don't have the same kind of resonance for me that they do for other people. For other people, they're words of abject horror.
Yeah, definitely. Man, what is your earliest memory of all time?
Okay. The earliest memory I ever had happened when I was on mushrooms, years and years and years and years and years and years ago. And it was, I was being held by my mother. I was a little baby. It's being held by my mother. That was it.
Your mother fed you mushrooms when you were a baby?
I wish, but no. This was, yeah, that's my earliest memory, is when my mom gave me mushrooms. I'll never forget it. No, I was on mushrooms at some club, and that thing that happens where you're like, oh yeah, this wasn't a recreational dose of mushrooms. Like, now I'm having a full on, like, where the mushrooms are like, no, well, I know you're at a club and probably wanted to have fun, but I'm going to like drag you back to like one of your first sentient moments on the planet. And it was like it was my mom holding me as a little baby. And that's the earliest one I got.
Damn, that's crazy, man. Yeah, I was thinking about this just before we jumped on this call, and I like wrote it down in a note. I was like, I should ask Duncan that. But yeah, I can't, like, my earliest memory is like no earlier than when I was like even like 10 years old or something. I think like everything before that is just gone.
Yep.
It's fucking crazy, man. Memory is like it's bad. Memory's bad.
Isn't that fascinating? That it's also, I like that reality, because I have slipshod memories of my childhood, and but I like that reality because it's something that seems to be one of those things. Well, we just don't talk about that, because like wrapped up in identity is the notion of some continuous self, and so well, I don't have memories of my first 10 years of life, or if I do have memories, there's massive gaps between these moments. So, well, where was I in the gaps? What was that person if I can't remember it? I mean, and then, that goes all the way up to right now, which I think is a very like freakish aspect of being a human being, is that quality of identity. you almost have to work to give yourself any kind of past. You have to like do a little bit of knitting together these memories, and from that you sort of come up with, oh, that must be me, but really, I mean, I saw someone at one of these Ram Dass retreats pointing out, like, most of the time you're living in a thing you're going to forget.
Do you know about last Thursdayism?
No.
All right, I'm going to pull up this Wikipedia page because I'll otherwise butcher it. But yeah, this is I think it's a religion. Okay, where am I going? Last Thursdayism rational wiki. Let's go. All right, last Thursdayism, or alternately, last Tuesdayism or last Wednesdayism, is the idea that the universe was created last Thursday, but with the physical appearance of being billions of years old. It's also a counter to the creationism theory, and under last Thursdayism, books, fossils, light already on the waveform distant stars, and literally everything, including your memories of the time before last Thursday, were all formed at the time of creation, which was last Thursday.
Fucking brilliant.
That they appear much older. Last Thursdayism functions both as a philosophical point on how our observations may not match with reality, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, basically they're saying like, everything just got created last Thursday and you can't prove otherwise, essentially.
Love it. Brilliant. Yeah, that, that's that all of that ties in to this like concept of a kind of time loop, or an evolving God situation, like, for example, like the idea that, yeah, maybe right now there isn't a God, like certainly not the God of creation, but we are in the evolutionary process of that God coming into existence, and that will maybe create this loop that starts on Thursday or Tuesday or whatever you want to decide. But so like, this is like where it kind of touches simulation theory being like, well, it's because of just where our technology is going right now. Clearly something else already perfectly duplicated reality to the point of like stimulating whatever the nervous system was, or whatever the cognitive faculty was, to give the impression of reality that already would have happened, that should have already happened. And if that already happened, then the idea that we're in the first iteration of reality is actually more improbable than we're in some like infinite multitude of like pre-created on Thursday or whatever fucking day you want to assign to it, or even the last moment. I mean, the thing works for literally your in-breath. Like the whole universe could have just been created right now, and we're being fed that data set right now to give this impression. Or it could works. The Thursdayism even works like the universe gets created and destroyed in every single moment. Like the whole process is like refiled into your brain over and over again. And maybe that refiling is completely different historical data sets, maybe like, which would work like, because every single one would seem like it refreshed itself. So it would just seem like, oh yeah, there was always the Civil War, but maybe that literally just happened right now. Anyway, the point is, the idea is that all that shit makes sense from the perspective of where we're going right now with all the new technology, or the blending of the human nervous system and technology, like the new Nobel Prize, the guy just won the Nobel Prize for understanding how we detect heat, how heat gets transferred into the nervous system, which seems like, maybe not a big deal, but from the perspective of once we start understanding, okay, here's the part of the brain that recognizes heat. Here's where whatever something is, when you touch something hot, here's the part of the brain that knows it's hot. Here's what cold comes from. Then we've got smell, then vision. Then the next thing you know, we can theoretically download reality directly into you, producing a synthetic reality based on just understanding how those impulses get translated. And boom, now I can give you an experience of reality where last Thursday, that started last Thursday or whatever. I mean, people are even contemplating, I don't know if you've heard the idea of like, look, what if we can give someone the experience of 100 years in prison in a millisecond, so we don't have to spend all those resources We can
Like,
just in 100 neurological chemically induced minutes or years, so it plays into last Thursdayism too. I love that. It's beautiful.
yeah, the best argument I've heard for simulation theory is that we have Planck scale and we have like the speed of light, and these are like the kind of like limitations, right? Like, why can't we go smaller than Planck scale, or why is the speed of light like the fastest thing possible? Did you know that in computers, uh one of the limitations for how fast a process can happen is the speed of light? So like when you see a motherboard on a computer, the processor is generally in the middle, and the reason why is so it can get to every resource of the motherboard, like as because the limitation is the speed of light, right? And like as fast as that speed of light can go across the motherboard is like basically the time limitation.
Wow.
But this is like a perfect argument for simulation theory, because you can be like, why the fuck is the speed of light the limit? Like, maybe it could be because the person who created it wanted to save on processing power, right? They were like, why bother processing past there? The beings can't even like see it or experience it
Yeah.
really. We can only like kind of theorize it. So like what's the, like, why go smaller than Planck scale, or why go faster than the speed of light? Like, we might as well like save our processing resources.
That is so fucking cool. We're running on like a early PlayStation, some alternate dimension. It's like that's just what it does. We have the new ones go way faster than the speed of light, but we're just sort of stuck in like speed of light land. Yeah, I mean, I simulation theory to me, it's identical to multiverse theory. I mean, it's all like all of these like ways of thinking about reality, even as a thought experiment, I think are fairly liberating in the sense of like, it's easy to start thinking the universe is functioning in a really boring way. And that's a byproduct of just not looking into the crazy shit quantum physicists are figuring out right now. A lot of people, the universe they're living in is a universe based on what someone taught them in high school, and since then, all kinds of weird shit has happened and all kinds of technology has emerged, allowing people to look deeper into things than ever before. And it's completely disruptive if you're someone who was raised on good old Newtonian physics, I think people would be kind of shocked to discover some of the weird shit going on underneath the macro reality we're all hanging out in.
Definitely. Have you ever talked to Sam Harris?
No, I have not. I mean, he's brilliant. I've listened to some of his stuff, but I've never had a chat with him. Have you?
I'd love to. I'd love to hear you guys chat. I feel like yeah, you guys would probably get into a crazy hole. Speaking of people who I'd love to hear you chat with, I was so stoked to be able to make the connection between you and Tipper, man. That was like my favorite thing.
I can't believe you did that.
Yeah, I went to Tipper's Red Rock show, and I was like hanging out with him in the green room, and I just like had this epiphany. I was like, wait, you're in Asheville? Duncan's in. I was like, holy shit, you have to fucking meet Duncan.
Man, I can't believe you. I have to tell you, like, hanging out with Tipper, it's like, yeah, I just have to surrender to, oh, okay, I'm hanging out with this person whose music has like been blowing my mind forever. Dream logic. You have to like, it's like dream. It's like your brain is like, well, how did you be like, why this guy is so cool? You're just having this like awesome conversation with this super cool person who I don't know. Thank you for doing that, man. It was a real mind bending experience. And also, there's always a kind of relief when you're hanging out with an artist you really love and you realize, oh, they're so fucking cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's a relief, because it sucks that every once in a while you'll really love someone's art and you run into them. Maybe you catch them on a bad day, who knows? And they seem kind of like a dick. It really sucks. I don't know if you've ever even had that experience.
Yeah, let me think about it. Have I had that? I mean, I've definitely had the experience of where I've like been a fan of somebody's music, and like they've been at a show or something, and I've tried to approach them and be like, hey, I love your music or something like that, or I love your art or whatever it is, and they've just been kind of like, I feel like if I just thought about it like rationally, they're just kind of busy because it's a fucking show,
Yeah.
like everyone's trying to bombard them with compliments, and it's a lot to take in.
Yes.
And I've been having been in that position myself a couple of times now. Like, I understand what it feels like, and especially if that person is introverted, it's very reasonable of them to be like, hey, this like I'm just gonna go to my green room, fuck
Absolutely.
off back to the hotel right now.
Yeah.
So I think like certain times I've maybe had that experience with artists I like, and then I've been like, oh, that person like just fucking blew me off, what a cunt. But then like I feel like, you know, that's probably just
Yeah.
me being a needy piece of shit.
Absolutely. That is a yeah, I don't mean it. I mean like when you find out like long term. You know what I mean? Not like fuck. If you run into someone at a show, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt, or you are a monster. What are you doing? They're probably freaking the fuck out. They're about to have to perform for a shit ton of people. What do you want them to do? Give you a fucking back massage? Give them a break. They're freaking out. No, I mean like, you know, long term, which doesn't happen that much, thank God. Like, because I used to work at the Comedy Store, so you'd always see like, you know, these like huge comedians come in, and like 99% of the time, cool as fuck. But every once in a while, you're like, God, Jesus Christ, like that's not a busy person. That's somebody who's like festering with some horrible ego inflation that maybe isn't their fault. You know what I mean? They're just like, but very rarely. I didn't come on here to talk shit, by the way. I mean, like, here, I'll give you, I'm not talking shit. I remember seeing fucking Robin Williams at the Comedy Store, and he was just talking to some people from the crowd. And I was kind of like, not eavesdropping, but I was watching. I couldn't hear him. I was too far away because I'm like, how the fuck does, I want to see how Robin Williams, one of the great legendary comics of all time, interacts with fans. And it was like he'd known him forever. He wasn't in a hurry. He was listening, you know, like you could just tell, engaged with them, listening, just somehow got them comfortable being around him, because you could tell that he knew that for them, this was, you could just see it in their expressions. This is something they're going to tell their kids about. And that to me, like, you know, else is like that Lou Barlow, who I fucking love, you know, completely just humanizes the relationship between like the people who love his music and him. That's, to me, I just think that's like, if you can do that, it's important if you can pull that off.
Yeah, I feel like stand-up comedy must be the most, I mean, maybe it's just because of the type of person I am, but like, I feel like talking is a lot of effort. Like for me to do this podcast, a lot of the time, it's like a lot of energy to like sit down and like force myself to have conversations for like 2 hours. And I feel like when having this interaction with fans, it's like talking to them, it's like, it's a big effort and stuff. And like, for me personally, I think I'm just like a pretty introverted person. I get most of my energy from sitting by myself in a room. Like maybe this is just because like, you know, it's kind of like training with weights or something, right? It's like the more you do a certain thing, the better you get at that thing. And I've just, due to the nature of the work of being a producer, it's pretty solitary work. So I just been by myself a ton. Maybe I've just like gotten used to that or something. But I feel like, being I just admire stand-up comics so much. For like every time I talk to somebody who's a stand-up comedian like you, or who else have I like? I've talked to his fucking name, Tony, the guy, Kill Tony guy,
Tony Hinchcliffe.
Tony Hinchcliffe, that's on. Yeah, I've chatted with him before, and you know, I just feel like every time I talk to a stand-up comedian, they just always have something. There's this thing that they have that I definitely do not have, which is just that they really fucking like to talk, and they're like, at least if they don't like to talk, definitely they make you feel like they do, you know.
Yeah, we're fucking yappy, man. We're just yappy. I know what you mean about the space thing though, friend. I know. And then that's the thing. A lot of musicians like I get it. It's, you know, it's just different modes of conveying your soul to the world, you know? And for us yappy comics, it's like, it's just part of our nature, you know? But yeah, musicians, I know what you mean. It's a completely different, they have a completely different method in the world of like doing it. I get it, man. I totally get it. I used to be a space person, by the way. You know, I used to need a lot of space.
Oh, gotcha. You're kind of both though. Like you're a stand-up comic, but I mean, you're also a like electronic musician. And I mean, obviously you must know by this point, like being an electronic musician, a lot of the time you're just in a room by yourself for like hours at a time, just fucking noodling around.
Well, may I just say, I appreciate you saying that to me, but I have so much respect for electronic musicians that I will not categorize myself as that. I'm a hobbyist. And I do think there's a difference. And I think there's nothing wrong with a difference. Like, but there is for sure a difference. And for me, it's very freeing to be a hobbyist because it's like, this is just that it's purely joy. There is no I don't have to get any song made. I'm sure you got like 50 deadlines right now. I don't have any deadlines. I just got my modular synthesizers, bunch of CV cables, and when I have time, I plug them in and I go, whoa, that's fucking weird. That sounds fucking weird, man. And then maybe if I like it, I'll record it for my podcast. I'm like, oh, I'm going to record that and then I'll improvise some dumb song to sing over it. That's the extent. You know what I mean? And so, whereas I've watched the creation process for electronic musicians, and it is so strenuous and rigorous and requires so much discipline that I don't think I could ever get to that point. I just like the first part, like going down to the river and getting the mud. Then taking the mud and building a house with it is like, oh, that's where it gets crazy. Watching what y'all do is crazy. The whole infinite, like the sculpting of some simple waveform, the understanding of the variety of plugins out there, yet the ability to simplify so that you're not like getting distracted by the like never ending possibilities. And then like just the goddamn like endurance that it takes to not get bored of some millisecond of a sound. And then also, what's that? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a lot of patience and it's a lot of being able, I think, to look at the big picture whilst also looking at the microscopic shit, It's like looking at like the little details whilst also realizing that little detail is really only for you and nobody else will fucking notice it, and being also able to look at the bigger picture of the song.
Okay, now let's talk about the small detail thing, because when I was working on the Midnight Gospel, I went deep into that world of the chromatic ribbon, knowing no one will know that. Like, there's no way in the course of especially the way we were planning to do the show, no one's ever going to know this. No one's ever going to know that we worked out how the simulators actually function, or that we worked out the ecosystem of the chromatic ribbon, or the economy of no one will ever know that we did that, but they'll know because they'll feel that there's something there. At least that was the hope. You know what I mean? Like instead of, banking on absurdity, just being like, it's an absurd reality, so we'll just do whatever, fuck the rules or whatever. We made rules, strict rules, and went pixelate, just deep in the pixels of the thing. And I think with your music, that's what, even though, yeah, maybe someone's not going to hear that millisecond flutter that you worked on forever, they're going to, in the holistic totality of the thing, they're going to hear that attention to detail, that they'll hear that. It creates a coherence or something. It creates a, so they do hear it. Maybe they don't hear the literal thing any more than when you're looking at like a great painting. You know what I mean? You might not notice that one shade of color in the one corner off to the side of the thing, but somehow the totality produces its own resonance that gives you that whoa feeling. And I think that's what we hear in your music, would be my guess.
Yeah, all those little details, they for sure like give everything a lot of depth. And I feel like without it, shit always just sounds a little bit like bland and basic. It's like the idea of the song is there, but it's like you can tell it's not finished. Like it doesn't have that complete depth to it. And
yeah, it doesn't sound like it's alive.
Yeah, it's like a painting with no shading or something like that.
Yeah.
A painting where somebody just stopped with like the outlines and to color it in.
Yeah. I mean, do you ever play around with the idea that like your music actually is a nest that creatures live inside of?
No, but I do play around with the idea that that each sound is kind of like a character, if that makes sense. Like, so sort of like the call and response thing, right? It's like, some sound will be like, and then another sound will be like, wow. Like you have these like call and response things, like playing around with each other and dancing around each other and stuff like that.
That's cool.
I definitely play with that idea.
That's cool. I've listened and I've thought it's like they're having a conversation or something. It's like I'm in some alien forest and like I'm listening to different parts of that biosphere call out to each other, and it feels like that conversational. And the you know I just love speculating on things. I don't believe them necessarily, but like there's an idea that, okay, if your house is super fucking messy, you're going to get bugs. You know what I mean? If you're not cleaning your house, leaving food out, you're going to get bugs. That just happens. And so if you like playing around the idea of like, oh, well, what if there are like astral beings? You know what I mean? What if life isn't quite limited to the material form in the way that we think it is? We just see the gross reality, not gross as in disgusting, but that we see matter. That's what we're capable of seeing. But potentially there are these other less dense forms of sentience out there, which has been reported on forever by a million different, people, from like complete grifters to what I would consider to be clairvoyant people or whatever. And so why wouldn't that energy also get drawn to specific energy forms? So, if you're living in a house where there's a lot, you walk into a house and you can feel what's going on there sometimes. You walk into a house where people are having a bad marriage, or, you walk into a house where there's a lot of anger. You can fucking feel that, man. It's thick. You can feel it. Like
when you walk into a library, you can just kind of feel everyone thinking.
Exactly. You feel that crisp. And so, sometimes when I'm thinking about music, especially the kind of music you make, I like to play around with the idea of like, no, why wouldn't creatures live in music too? Why wouldn't while it's existing, why wouldn't it draw? And let's say you turn on a light, you get moths or whatever. Why wouldn't music, when you turn it on, draw things that start spinning around in it too, which would even add to the music itself in some kind of like intuitive sense, Again, I mean, in the early days, I would obviously, when I would go and listen to electronica, I was always high as a fucking kite. So it was a natural thought, like, I think there's aliens living in this music. And I think a lot of us have that thought, whether we're willing to admit it or not.
Yeah, my I guess intuitive sense is to feel like that the aliens are living in your mind more so than in the music, right? Because it's like kind of like that Japanese koan, where it's like if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, then does it make a sound? And I feel like with music, it's kind of the same deal. It's like if that music is just playing with no one around to listen to it and have an experience with it, is there anything existing there at all, right? And until it like reaches your ears as the listener and starts to form those thoughts in your mind, and then you can be like, holy fuck, there's aliens in this. Like that's where the aliens exist, right? It's like in that whole experiential situation.
Well, like in the connection.
Yeah, it takes the combination of you, the conscious consumer, having the connection with the unconscious or unsentient, if you subscribe to that music, to then like combine the two and be like, well, shit, now there's aliens.
Yeah, right.
Like a little bit of alchemy going on there.
That's where the mind exists, right? Like the mind has for the mind to function, it exists relationally. The mind can't really be independent, can it? It has to exist as a relational sort of event.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think writing a joke is in any way similar to writing music? Because I mean, we've been talking about like this detail orientation and how you might be like, all right, here's a kick drum. I'm going to spend like an hour just like spamming my fucking space bar, like listening to it over and over again whilst like making minor detail edits between every fucking space bar bump.
Yeah.
Is there anything like that in joke writing? Like, do you go like, all right, I'm going to start with the word what if, and then you like just sit there tweaking that what if, or what if bullshit like that? Or?
Well, it's like, yes, I mean, I think like what's really interesting sometimes is you might watch a comedian and you see someone who's got the rhythm of comedy down, who's got the syncopation down, and is even making people laugh because the rhythm is the right rhythm. And so people are laughing where there should be a joke because the rhythm is there. But if you really look at it, you're like, I don't know if that's even a joke. That just seems to be like somebody is imitating the rhythm of stand up and then landing on what appears to be a punchline. And that you can get away with that sometimes. Um, uh, but there's a real rhythm to comedy. You know, there's a real, like, there's there's a musical quality to it. And also the using the voice, just like you're saying, produces almost a melodic sort of, like, if, you know, just go listen to, if you find someone doing comedy in a language that you don't know, so that you can get the pure melodic rhythmic form of it, and you'll like see, oh yeah, there's definitely like a musicality to stand-up comedy for sure. And then, you know, but then also if you look at, like, you know, take any song at all, and there is a place where the song sort of crescendos, and you know, and the whole song's been leading up to that crescendo, right? And like a lot of great comics that I've seen, they'll do a big joke, but inside the joke are all these micro jokes. It's like a fractal. It's fucking insane when you see someone who's done that kind of writing. It might start off with just like, I went to the grocery store to pick up some toilet paper. That's the beginning. Nothing that exciting about it. You're expecting this is going to be a joke about going to the grocery store, but somehow, before even getting to whatever the fuck happened in that regard, there's all these other stories that start popping up, side tracks and tributaries and stuff that yet somehow mimic the bigger joke. You know what I mean? They're all like in the same shade as whatever this joke is going to be. And then the punchline would be the crescendo where they all intersect and connect. And that is that's when you get like a legendary joke. That's one form of it, storytelling. Then the other form, you watch like Mitch Hedberg or something like that. And now what you're seeing is this like hyper abbreviated, insane, like mathematically perfect observational comedy that is sort of, you know, psychedelic, and that everything is warped and bent around his personality. He's warping linguistically, kind of warping reality, but he's doing it in this abbreviated way where not only does each joke have this specific rhythm to it that's specifically him, but it's something about the sheer like number of jokes that all, like, something in the quantity is creating a rhythm, you know, or creating a kind of like recurring pattern that is transcending the joke itself. You know, so I think there's something very musical about that too when you see it. But, you know, if you spend too much time thinking about that meta aspect of it, then you sure as fuck won't write a funny joke, because you're thinking, hopefully that comes. You know what I mean? And then the other side of it is like, it's an evolutionary process with the audience, you know, over when not just one audience, multiple audiences over many, many months. The joke is like in a kind of nursery, or like it's like in a womb where it's growing and growing until finally it hits its final form, and then hopefully that's when you would like make a special.
Yeah. Fuck, man, there's a lot to talk about in there. Yeah, I feel like the equivalent of a punchline in electronic music is the drop, right? And the
Yeah.
build up to the thing is like the telling the story that leads to the punchline.
Yep.
And same with like electronic music these days. It's gotten pretty eloquent to the point where like within the build up, there's like little drops, and there's little things that obviously allude to the drop. And I mean, generally the way that you write primarily the way that I see most people write electronic music that I've worked with is they write the drop first. So they're like, here's where we want to be. And then they're like, now let's, I guess the word is like, let's validate that with stuff that comes before it. Cause like without all that crap that comes before it, the drop is like kind of, it's not meaningless, but it's not as powerful as if it's like very validated with like this huge, like something's going to happen, something's going to happen. Something. And then eventually it's like, bam, here's the thing that we've been promising you is going to happen.
Yes.
It's like music is really, if you break it down to its most simplistic thing, is setting expectations and then either meeting them or not. Like that's all it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of like what a build up drop situation is. And it's kind of the same in comedy, right? It's like you set up an expectation, and then you either violate that expectation or you don't. And either way can be funny, but it's like in one way it's like more obvious that that thing's going to happen. And the kind of comedy that I feel like I like the most is when they violate that expectation, when you're like, I could never have seen that punchline coming, like that is just the most ridiculous thing, and that's hilarious.
Yeah. That is the good violation of it. But because it's like you don't really. It's like you with the give and take with the audience. There's a lot of trust involved, and once you get their trust by demonstrating you have punchlines, then you can really start playing around with it a little bit, so that you can start violating the rules a little bit more and a little bit more. But the main thing is just have a fucking punchline. Like, that's the thing, because it's like comedians, we're yappy. We do love to talk and we love to be on stage. It's fucking hard writing jokes. And so, you have to watch out, because the audience deserves punchlines, but it's easy to not to like just think, I'm just going to talk, so you could play around with that too, or they think you're just talking, or they think that you're sort of like lost in some, like you've gotten off track or something like that, knowing that that's building up its own kind of rotten suspense, because they don't know how you're going to bring this back. And then if you can do that naturally enough, wow, you surprise them with that thing that seems like it just came out of the blue, you know what I mean, when in fact you've done that for like 4 weeks straight, or it's like a magic trick, really, or even better, you don't have anything planned and it does come out of the blue. And that is like the best when that happens, because that's like such a pure moment. But yeah, it's a really, there are quite a few similarities between, music and stand up. It's like what you were saying about, Ableton. You know what I mean? It's like once you understand how to use, I don't know, Premiere or Photoshop, or once you understand the basic concepts of layering, then it can translate to a lot of other things. I think it's true for art too, probably. My guess would be there's some aspect of what we're talking about that even applies to visual arts. I don't know what, because that's like pretty far away from me, but like painting or something, I'm sure there's something, it's a repeating pattern, right? Like some kind of like fundamental equation in the universe that translates into all these various forms that we call art.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess like if you take a physicist's stance on this, it all comes back to like maths, right? And everything is just like mathematical problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like building an audience's trust is also something you have to do in electronic music. Like with a set, if you don't want to like have everybody leave the dance floor, basically, like let's say the DJ before you is like playing a great set and they've just like, they just build up, drop it, like, because people don't want to feel stupid, right? Like if people are dancing to your music, they want to like, I think, feel like they can dance and like they're in control of like dancing to the beat or whatever. And if you keep violating that too much, then they're like, oh fuck, like I did the dance move here and like you didn't put a beat there, what the fuck? And like I feel like people can get a little bit like self-conscious in that.
Yes.
If you sort of make them feel like an idiot. So I feel like with music a lot of the time you have to start off simple and big and just like easy, and then you can start to be like, all right, now that you trust that I won't fuck you over, like I can start to play around a little bit, and you can be like, I know you won't fuck me over, but like let's go on this little tangent you have here.
Yeah, man. I went to see George Carlin at the Comedy Store, ready to get like, the Carlin, like, his, darkness, the dark warlock. He gets up there, man, and he's getting ready for his HBO special. He starts off with just a stock joke. I can't remember what it was, something about weather vane and cocks. It's like, he gets a laugh. It's a basic joke, simple. I don't even think he wrote it, probably. I think it was just a stock joke. And I'm like, oh my God, like George Carlin. I guess he got old and now he's doing like shitty like stock jokes or something. And then like he does another joke that's kind of like similar, but funny, basic, nothing particularly edgy about it. And then another like that. And then all of a sudden he's doing like jokes about his like dying wife's cancer screams. You know what I mean? But because the audience has been laughing at his relatively square jokes now for like 20 minutes. You know what I mean? And then very slowly, he starts pulling the rug out from under them and going into this incredibly heavy, fucking existential deconstruction of reality. And it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. The artfulness behind it. And just what you're saying, like, show them a thing, give them what they want, because they deserve that. Show them, like, look, here's the form that you're looking for, and then start breaking that form down. Wow. When you see that, when that happens, it's very special to see. When you see that with a great DJ, you know, when you see that, it's because I think something in art happens where suddenly something transcends the form. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I know I'm listening to, I know I'm listening to great music right now, but this is not just great music. Something else is happening here. I don't know what it is. It's like I'm in the presence of something perfect, or I'm witnessing something confirming a lot of hopes I had regarding the existence of magic in the universe, or there being a much vaster universe than I expected. I think that's a possibility with performance, and that can happen with anything at all, really. And it's a very special moment. And I think you're right. I think that, you know, in the same way we're not going to get aliens in the music if there isn't anybody listening, you know, I think also once you get a big group of people together encountering this possible reality, then, you know, that's when people will say, as cheesy as it may sound, you know, you changed my life. I went to one of your shows and you changed my life. And you might feel insecure about that. And I know you must get this a lot, and you might not know how to handle that. I don't know, but it's true. You did, because you opened a portal or something.
Right. Yeah. My rationalization for that is usually, I don't think I necessarily change your life. I think that, like, the combination of, like, your mind state, having that experience at that time with my music around these particular group of people on this day, like, it was a lot of things coming together that changed your life.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think that's an honest way to put it. God, Jesus, it would be really fucked up if you're like, you're right, I did. Now I own you. No, I think that's a very honest and responsible response to something like that. But regardless of the, you know, whoever's holding the brush or isn't holding the brush for whatever this painting may be, it's one of the possibilities with art is that it as cheesy as it sounds, it heals people. It just does. I've been healed by Aqua Teen Hunger Force. You know what I mean? I've been healed by stuff that on the outside might not seem like the most advanced, cutting edge, sophisticated thing in the world, but like exactly what you're saying, at the time in my life, encountering a thing that felt really authentic and funny, it shows you, like, yeah, things might suck for you right now, but look, this is a possibility in the world. And that, for a lot of people, that's all they need to keep them from, you know, killing themselves.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what is it? Who said it? Like, laughter is the best medicine. Was that from a fucking Patch Adams or something like that?
I don't know who said that. That feels like Price fucking Patch Adams. I don't know. Not just laughter. It's fucking art. It's good art. It's good art is most certainly a great medicine. I think right now there's a real famine because people are getting confused about what they're consuming. You know, like, I think people are eating up a lot of tweets and grams and TikToks and stuff, and they're not getting that, and they're getting so riveted by it all that they're missing out on, like, that other possibility. And so they don't even know why they're withering up. But it's you know what I mean? It's because they've been, like, basically just snorting algorithms all day long.
Right. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of reward for making bad art. Like, you know, there'll be something that gets, like, popular on TikTok, and it might not necessarily be that creative, but it's giving people a strong dopamine hit. And the reason why is because the TikTok algorithm is just so good that it knows what to feed people when. And the reason why, I've heard, is because it's basically the same as the YouTube algorithm, which we already know is insane. Like, if you watch a couple of YouTube videos, it just knows what to feed you next to be able to, like, keep you hooked. But the TikTok algorithm is even more insane. And the reason why is because YouTube videos go for, like, sometimes 30 minutes, right? But TikTok videos, they all go for like a minute at most. So they're able to just get that data way quicker. They're able to like feed you so much data so quickly that they're able to learn about you way faster. And
Yep.
then the AI is just like, okay, I know exactly what to feed you next. So the thing that people are getting fed that they're lapping up is, I think, like a lot based on that algorithm that's just like, I know who you are and I know what you want better than you probably do yourself.
Yeah.
um, but then the problem, I think, is like a lot of artists, because it's hard to make art purely just for yourself, because that you have to be a fucking pretty emotionally resilient person, I think, to do that. But it's also hard, I think, to make art specifically just for other people, because you also have to be a pretty fucking emotionally resilient person to do that also.
Yeah.
But I think, living in the capitalist society that we do, where the biggest reward seemingly is monetary, uh, we pretty much look at these things on TikTok or whatever that get like massive, and we're like, oh well, wow, there's like a pot of gold at the end of doing that, it looks
Yeah.
like, so I'm gonna do that, because
Yeah.
there's a reward for doing so.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a quicksand pit. You ever read any Jaron Lanier?
Oh yeah, the guy who wrote the 10 rules for deleting your social media.
Yes.
Yeah.
He
He's a
sums it.
PR guy, right?
Yeah, he will. He in that book really breaks down why what you're talking about is so fucked up. And he talks about like, B.F. Skinner, behaviorism, the like AI creating a kind of like technological Skinner box that like just could theoretically just lock all of humanity completely into a snare, a trap. And I think TikTok is most definitely one of the most sulfuric, satanic technologies I have ever encountered in its incredible power and its reflective quality, which, by the way, like, so in one form of Buddhism, when you die, you go into this place called the bardo. You don't have a body anymore. It's very confusing. You just have this momentum that we call our karma, this sort of like, the thing in your life, in my life, in everybody's life, the pattern that keeps repeating over and over again. That for a lot of people, they are like, I must be cursed. Why do I keep getting in this relationship? Or what's going on? Why do this has always happened to me? No matter what, I always get my heart broken. This thing, that's your karma. It's like this loop that you've been experiencing for, depending on the particular like metaphysical lineage you're studying, infinity, basically, on and on and on and on, or loop. So you get into the bardo, you don't have your body anymore. Things are happening faster now. And so it's reflective. So that thing that right now you're seeing reflected in the art that's around you, your job, the clothes you wear, your partner, your pets, whatever, that thing gets reflected into the void, and the reflection instantly comes to life and starts interacting with you. And in that interaction, you like can get incredibly confused and incredibly lost. It's like a chamber, an infinite chamber of mirrors that. So basically what that means is if you're super scared when you die, you're going to see a lot of scary shit that's coming to life around you. But ultimately, all of it is just a projection of this like mind, the mind field. And so from that, you end up like picking you get so freaked out that you like try to take on any kind of form at all. And like you end up picking your parents, and that could be like, that you just jump into any kind of womb you can. But TikTok reminds me of that. It's reflective. You're seeing your karma. You're looking at this shit. It's suggesting stuff that it's quickly figuring out that you like. And it's not just that. The thing that I found really disturbing about it is that, at least with like Instagram or Twitter or whatever, you're like liking stuff. There's an interaction. TikTok's measuring how long you're spending watching the thing.
Well,
so
they control like where your finger presses the screen and when you swipe, and like when you swipe left or right, or when you like, they have a heat map of all that shit. And then they also have like, exactly how long your screen is on for. They can do like pixel mapping. They can, if you're on a computer, even they can tell like how much of your screen real estate is taken up by certain things, and like what kind of fucking sound card you use, and all of this kind of crap. And they can build up a full database of like who you are.
Exactly. Now you add to that, and add to that technology, 10, 20 years down the line when we have like, androids, you know what I mean? Actually physical manifestations of that who have like had access to whatever your TikTok database thumbprint is so that you like encounter them in the real world. And they like are going to hang out with you and just seem like the greatest person you ever fucking met. True sociopaths, because they could like, you know what I mean? When you get around like a really proficient sociopath and they fucking turn into the best thing you've ever encountered in your life. You get around like a really proficient narcissist and suddenly they've like literally become everything you've ever wanted in a person. You know what I mean? And you're like, my God, I've met my soulmate. But it's like, no, you haven't. You met a mirror. You know what I mean? I don't know what's, and it just turned into something that it analyzed you, and then it became something that it thought that you would like, and then it got bored with that, and then suddenly you're like, who the fuck are you? I don't know you. It's like, yeah, I'm the thing behind the mirror. So that's to me where AI is right now. It's really, really exciting and weird and fucked up. I wouldn't be, depending on how society does over the next couple of years, I wouldn't be surprised if like people look back and think, my God, the same way we look back at the fact you could get heroin prescribed to you. I think people are going to look back and be like, what the fuck? They were doing there was cocaine in Coca-Cola. They're going to look back and be like, there was unregulated algorithms controlled by an AI. They just allowed themselves to be manipulated by a fucking AI. Like that was legal. Hopefully we'll get to that point where it gets, a little more regulated than it is right now.
Yeah, man. Do you know, you obviously know Sigmund Freud. The way he used to try and treat drug addiction was by giving his patients just loads of cocaine. He was like, this will sort you out. The totally addictive drug cocaine.
Bet he had a lot of returning fucking customers, man. It's like, I haven't quite figured out how to solve the addiction yet, Dr. Freud. Can we have another session?
I mean, this might be, again, one of those rewards for a bad thing, right? He's like, well, this is really helping. Maybe I should keep doing this. I'm getting a lot of money for this.
Oh my God, exactly. And he probably thought people were coming because of him. They're like, people love me. They love my treatments. Yeah.
Did you hear about that pregnancy test that got sent to that father's house? And he was like, why the fuck are you sending me a pregnancy test? Like, no one here is pregnant. And then it turned out his daughter was actually pregnant, and they'd just been scraping enough data from their IP address that like AI just figured out that somebody in that house was pregnant. Wow. And the daughter didn't even know she was pregnant at the time. It's like fucking Walmart or Target like knew that somebody in that household was pregnant before anybody in that household knew.
Wow. Amazing. Amazingly creepy. Amazingly creepy.
I mean, it's amazingly convenient. Like imagine waking up one day and like you don't feel sick at all, but like there's medication waiting for you already in your mailbox, and you're like, well, fuck, should I start taking this? And then you start taking it, and then you don't get sick. But if you don't start taking it, you get the fucking worst cold of your life or something like that. Like, stuff like that I find to be like
like perfect diagnostics.
Yeah.
I remember reading Terence McKenna saying something about like what we're seeing is the reduction of the time between thinking of something and that thing coming into the world. That's what technology is doing. So that amount of time keeps getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And when that amount of time gets to instantaneous, that's the singularity, where it's like, there isn't the division between your consciousness or your desires and the external universe. So just instant manifestation of anything you want, any situation you want, any condition you want, which would lead to a kind of simultaneous dissolution of the individual identity and some kind of like new form of technological / organic sentience that was just expressing itself into time through its through its imagination. And that's where we're headed. It's not that, and right now we still have the idea of like, well, that's a machine and that's me. These are my synthesizers, but this is me. The technology is still outside of us, but it won't stay outside of us. It's going to get into us.
it already isn't. I mean, like, you think that your phone is outside of you, but really what it is just a very low bandwidth system of like something that is inside of you. Like, for instance, you look at your phone, there is a data transfer going on between you and your phone. It's just the bandwidth is extremely slow. Like the
Oh, right,
time
right,
it
right.
takes to get from your thoughts to your phone,
Yeah.
and then that phone back to your thoughts, and like
Uh,
that
that's
input output is just a slow bandwidth system.
right.
And that bandwidth system will get faster. Like, it already has, like, with just internet speeds and like response times with touchscreen phones and all this kind of stuff.
And
uh,
AR.
exactly, yeah. And just like people getting better at UX design with apps, just so you like don't have to go through as many steps to get to the same processes. And Apple making like face recognition a thing, you can like unlock whatever you want with just your face now. You don't have to think of passwords and type them in anymore, and like all of this kind of stuff. Like, the bandwidth is getting slowly faster, and it will eventually get, I believe, instantaneous. And when, yeah, you're right, when that happens, that's probably the singularity.
That's part of it. Yeah, it's in the so yeah. So what we have, what's just right around the fucking corner is the wearable technology. The one I mean, again, just fantasizing here, but I imagine one of the ways they're going to make fun of us down the line is like these clunky fucking screens we're looking down and staring at. Like this temporary pattern in human behavior where we are dissing other people by looking at our devices, where we're like, clearly distracted by whatever the fuck is coming in through our phones. That's going to go away once we're able to project what's in our phones directly into our eyeballs without having to have that little rectangle there. Whatever device that is that does that, who knows? Glasses at first, probably contact lenses eventually. And then at that point, that thing, the bandwidth thing, that you're talking about, the weird like little bit of disconnect that happens, like when you look at your phone and then look up, that goes away. So now it's like around you are your tweets, your grams, your likes, your faves, and even worse, around you are suggestions that right now we're not able to do that. Like, you go on a fucking date, right? And look at someone, just think of the ethics of this technology. You go on a date and you have like, covertly popping up like something measuring your date's eye dilation, measuring their blood alcohol level, measuring their pulse, and then recommendations from the AI about behaviors or stories you should tell, using like past events that it's aware of. And then, you know what I mean? So that level of seduction, we don't see it as horrific as it actually is, because it's on a inanimate object. But wait till that shit is on your car salesman fucking contact lenses. Wait till that shit happens just when someone sees you on the street. Hey, what's up, Bill? Hey, what's going on, man? Long time no see. What are you talking? Don't you remember? Wait till that happens. Wait till that, and the that's going to start happening in the form of like phone calls from people who seem like they know you, but it's just an AI. You know what I mean? That's where we're headed. That's definitely right around the corner. And, like nobody seems to be working with that. There's no, as far as I could tell, there's no like even something even close to like a prophylactic mechanism that we could have, a shield, some way of discerning, that like human intelligence from this artificial intelligence. So I would say that's like, yeah, something you should watch out for. I mean, honestly, I will not be surprised if at some point when you're with your friends in person, you'll have a password you tell them where you're like, like a safe word, orange 318. If you get a call from me and I don't say that, then, that's not me. That's something emulating my voice.
The AI will be able to figure that out as well. And like,
everyone turn your fucking phones off. I'm going to tell you my secret word. You know what I mean? That's where we're headed. That's definitely where we're headed. And it's going to be really, really interesting.
Fuck, man. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, that was a lot, dude. I know you have to leave in about probably 40 minutes or something, because you have your assistant told me you had stuff to do at 3. And what I've been trying to do lately on this podcast is ask people from Twitter and Discord and stuff to post questions.
Cool.
Just because I feel like that, lets people listening to the podcast feel more involved with it.
I saw that last week. I'm really sorry I had to cancel on you, man.
Oh, you're good, man. Yeah, the questions are still there, so we can go through them. And I feel like it's a bunch of stuff we haven't covered too. A lot about Midnight Gospel, actually, which was fucking amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
You showed me that when we did the podcast last time. You like kind of showed me the first pilot, and I didn't really understand it at the time. I was like, wait, so it's like your podcast episodes, and you just have taken excerpts from them and animated it. I didn't fully understand the vision, but then when I watched the show, I was like, I get it. This is fucking amazing.
That's cool. I showed you a really early version of it, and I didn't even understand it totally when I showed it to you. I don't think.
Turned out so good, man. But yeah.
Hey, may I be slightly rude and go get some water? Do you mind?
I kind of want to do the same thing. So.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, life is too short to be sitting around parched.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I got that line from a buddy of mine once who were like eating corn chips, and they were like a little stale, but there was still like 3/4 of the bag of corn chips there, and he just like threw them in the bin. He's like, "Fuck this, life is too short for stale corn chips," and like just opened a fresh bag. I was like, "You're fucking right."
Yes, exactly.
But also, I kind of, now that I'm mentioning that, feel sort of bad because we fucking waste a lot of food as humans, don't we?
Oh my God, we do, man. We do. We waste so much food, especially if you're eating packaged food.
All right. So Midnight Gospel. I have a question from this dude named Jason Porath, who just actually this question came from Slack. I was in like my girlfriend's house. They're all like techies. They all work at like Google and Facebook and shit like that. So they have a Slack for their house where they just like, talk about who's taking the trash out that night and like all that crap.
Oh wow,
it's very organized. Yeah, one of the things I've noticed in San Francisco is people here are just fucking organized because they're all like working in tech, and a part of like working in the tech industry, I mean, the whole mechanism you need to write good code is to be able to follow rules really well, right?
It's amazing.
Rules, your fucking code won't work. So they're all just like extremely detail orientated.
Why they're taking over the world, man. They figured it out. It's like, or like they're not only are they organized, they're fucking communal. What, you know what I mean? Like all these, like, I'm sorry, I don't care how brilliant you are. Like they're forming these like group brains, and now they hear that they're like getting that nailed down to their living situations. I want to do that at my house. I think it would improve our marriage. That's for sure. There's too much chaos there. Too much like hoping the other person does something.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point now where like my girlfriend has written my house like a house manual. So like when somebody comes over, we give them the manual to the house. Wow. I mean, it takes out a lot of like confusion, right? If somebody's like, "Oh man, is it cool if I get something to eat?" Or like, "Where do I get water from?" Or like, is there certain etiquette to using your bathroom that I don't know about or something? It's like we just send you the fucking PDF manual. It's like a 2 or 3 page thing, and you just skim it before you come over. It's like,
love it.
Takes a lot of questions out.
So smart. That's so fucking smart. You know what I fucking hate? I know we got these questions. You meet somebody who's got rules. Lots of them. Strict, weird rules based on whatever their particular lineage or family or whatever is. You don't know their rules, and you do something, and you see it in their face. You broke one of their fucking rules, and then they judge you about it forever. Right, but they never said to you whatever the thing was. Right, do you know what I'm talking about? You're supposed to like vibe it out. It's the worst, you know? I mean, I hate that. So it would be such a relief to go to someone's house who's like, this is how we like things here. Right, it would feel so good.
Right, because then you can just like, you know exactly what framework you can operate within and feel totally comfortable with, you know? So
yeah.
Like everyone, again, it's like just setting expectations and either meeting them or not. It's like everyone likes that.
If you have to take a shit, bidet, basement, go down there. Don't do it in the middle floor bathroom.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, one of the rules in our house is just don't put anything other than toilet paper and human waste in the toilet, right? Because like it clogs otherwise, and just random shit like that. But yeah, anyway, going back to questions. So this one, I decided to ask questions in her house's Slack because they're all techies, and I was like, they're probably going to come up with some fucking interesting,
cool
sounding questions.
I have longer than 40 minutes, by the way.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I feel like you're in a hurry.
Oh, well, I mean, your assistant just said you had something to do at 3 p.m. Eastern time.
It's okay. I'm supposed to be writing, so this gives me a chance to procrastinate writing.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Well, yeah. How did you choose episodes of your podcast to adapt to the show?
Well, it was a communal decision-making process because Pendleton listened to the podcast, and so we knew we were going to use my mom's episode, and then we just like picked episode like the first crazy idea that we had, which we ended up not doing, was we were going to figure out a way to theoretically get all the episodes transcribed using some kind of AI, and then via that transcription we could do keyword searches, and from that identify episodes that covered certain topics. That was one idea that we had, and we realized that's going to be so expensive, and why are we doing that? Let's just like pick episodes out with people that we like, or that I recalled liking, or that Pendleton recalled liking, and then that's how we put it together.
Yeah, that's awesome. And are you doing the same thing for the I guess assuming you're making a season 2?
No season 2.
Really?
It's not canceled, but I mean, I'm sure Netflix would have picked it up by now if they wanted to do another one, but it's not canceled. It's really the weirdest thing because Netflix is not shy about canceling stuff, but yeah, it's just kind of hanging in this wonderful limbo, So yeah, I mean, I get every day people are like season 2 and like, yeah, no season 2. No, it's just in limbo.
Weird, because I feel like it did so well. Like all I heard about being talked about around its release was that for like at least a few weeks. I don't know. It's a big mysterious thing. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. We just don't know. It's just kind of. Is it the most successful thing that you've done?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Most certainly. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. What kind of effects has it had on your career?
Well, I mean, I think it partially helped me. Like now I'm working on this show called Crapopolis that's going to be on Fox next year. And I think, yeah, it helped with that. It helped with that a little bit. Not all the way, but it taught me a lot about how to do voiceover work. And like I got to see these brilliant voiceover artists do their job. So it helped in that regard. And then anytime you have like a show that gets any kind of traction at all, it gives you this weird I think it gives you like an imaginary like cred or something like that, like even though all that is sort of, I was talking to some friends who have this like super successful podcast, and they were like, one of them was like, I want a Netflix show. I'm like, your show is like, yeah, so I think it helped in that, and it taught me how to make a show. It taught me like the process of making a show and how to collaborate. So a lot of really great effects it had on my career, and I'm thrilled that we got to make one season. I would like to make another season, and I know what the other season is in my head, but also I can't believe. I mean, it was a pretty big gamble for Netflix to listen to our pitch and then be like, okay, here's a shit ton of money to make a completely experimental cartoon. So I will never not be grateful to them for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so the process for it was like you essentially pitched them a thing, but like they didn't come to you and be like, "Hey, we want like to do this thing." You like, is the way to get a show on Netflix basically you write up like a brief pitch and send it to somebody that you know at Netflix, and then they do it.
Yes, that's it. Well, you write it. Here's what the way to get a show on Netflix is: write up a brief pitch, do some kind of animatic if you're doing an animation, and then go to the pitch with Pendleton Ward. That's how you do it. Because like he's like a wizard.
Yeah,
you know,
like the most successful cartoon ever, basically.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And do you say in that pitch like we need X amount of money to pull this off, or do they just say this is how much we're going to give you, and you figure?
They don't. I still don't know. I didn't want to know. I didn't want that to impact me. No, it's time. It's time. It's like, so basically like somewhere in the discussion, it comes up, well, let's do the production schedule. And the shorter that is, the less expensive it's going to be. The longer it is, the more expensive it's going to be. And so, that's one of the cool things Pendleton did. He's like, I think I'd like a little more time. And they were like, sure, we'll give it to you.
Is like a roundabout way of saying I'd like a little bit more money.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. And, Pendleton told me that if I wanted to, I could look and see the budgets. But I didn't want to because I didn't want to get freaked out by it. And I didn't want that part of, like, I felt it was kind of luxurious that I didn't have to worry about that I could just purely like could collaborate with Pendleton, which was just a joy, without having to be like, oh my God, this is every day it's costing this much money,
Yeah. Was he kind of like, as well as doing like taking care of the animation and like the visual aspect and all of that kind of stuff, was he kind of also like the manager of the project, like the
No, we had there's all those jobs are like, we had like Mike Mayfield. We had all these brilliant people who were helping us with that. But what Pendleton, he was definitely the final, like, there has to be one yes or no person at the end of the thing, and he was that person. Because like, sure as fuck was it going to be me. I didn't make Adventure Time. You know what I mean? I'm not going to, but also what was cool about him is he wasn't like, I know this is right. He was never like that. He was so communal and like so collaborative and so empathetic and so compassionate. I'm telling you, he was like a maestro. Like he knew. It was just a really cool thing to watch. It was thrilling to see how he empowered everybody. We always wanted everyone to feel involved. We didn't want people to think like, just because you're not technically in like some creative like department, you can't tell us an idea you have. And also we wanted people to tell us if shit was problematic that we were missing. You know what I mean? Because in the midst of making all that stuff, there really might be something in there that's like fucked up, like the master slave thing or whatever, where you might not catch it. And we didn't want people to be afraid of saying that. Like, we didn't want people to be like, what the fuck? That bothers me, whatever the thing was. And so we try to create that kind of space. He was really good at creating this, hopefully what was a safe space for most people there.
Damn. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, I have a question from @AshDark on Twitter. She's actually a really cool visual artist from Australia. I know.
Cool.
She asks, who is your favorite visual artist?
Okay. That's a great fucking question.
It's always hard to think in terms of favorites.
It is hard because you're sort of like sorting through your. Okay, my ultimate favorite visual artist is an artist who has passed away, and his name is Paul Lafayette. He is I think what you would call a visionary artist. And he actually thought he had an alien implant in his brain, which the art was coming from. And it is, are you looking at it? Did you look it up? It's fucking incredible. And
that piece is right behind you there.
What's that?
There's a piece like right behind your head that says,
No, that's Alex Gray, who
wow,
is another who I love. Alex and Allison Gray. I love both of their art, their work, and but that's a Ram Dass commission. Someone commissioned Alex Gray to paint Ram Dass. But yeah, Alex and Allison Gray are like going to be a close second there for me when it comes to art. And then Kadinsky. This is embarrassing because I forget his name and I always find myself Googling it. He was a mystic. I believe it's Kadinsky. Let me look it up just to make sure I'm not getting someone confused. That's a writer, actually. It's he did this in. God damn, I'm so sorry. I don't want y'all to think I'm a complete asshole. Wait, maybe it is.
I think it's Wasily Kadinsky.
Yeah, Kadinsky. I really love his art so much. He's just incredible.
Very
Incredible.
Dali-esque, or like somewhere between Salvador Dali and Picasso or something.
Yeah. God, he's good. But I really love his art a lot. And then, God, there's this outsider artist, and I can never remember his name either. But you know who else I love is Daniel Johnston's art. I really love his art a lot too. His paintings are fucking cool.
I have to Google all these people. I'm like so bad with visual artists.
Daniel Johnston's a musician too.
Ah, gotcha. Yes, it says that. Yeah, he's a lo-fi and alternative music guy from the Outsider. Is that a band or something?
No, I don't know. He made a lot of like great lo-fi music, and he did paintings that were just so cool. Outsider artist.
Oh yeah, I see this. Yeah. Oh yeah, Outsider. Yeah, correct. Cool.
And then, God, what's his name? I was just watching him paint last night. John Speaker on Instagram.
John Speaker. I have to like, yeah.
I've just been watching him lately. I just love watching him.
Damn. Well, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, these. Oh shit. Yeah, this guy's stuff is amazing.
I know. It's so good. He's so cool.
One of those people where you're like, I don't see all the details per se, but like you can just tell it's there.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen this guy's pins before, actually. Yeah, this is cool, man.
He does live painting sometimes and just explains his whole process. It's really interesting to hear him talk about like what he's up to.
Oh, it looks like I was already following him on Instagram, actually.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah. All right. Let's see. At Vogilla Music on Twitter asks a similar question, which is, who are your favorite producers? I guess they assume music producers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm talking to one, of course. But then listen, I love Tipper, and I want y'all to really hear me here. I'm musically illiterate, and that's just the way I am. So if you want me to like give you some, like, I don't have a cool response. I sure wish I did. I love music. I love Daedalus. I love music. I always will love music. I had Daedalus on the podcast. He's fucking incredible. But I'm not going to be able to go too much deeper than that. And I apologize. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I love the music. I love listening to it, but my brain just doesn't categorize. I don't have that kind of brain. And I have a lot of friends who are musicians, and I stopped some time ago pretending I knew who they were talking about, which was really good for me whenever they were mentioning this artist or that.
Dude, speaking of fucking amazing artists, just before we jumped on this call, I was listening to Woolg's latest EP. Have you ever heard of Woolg? Woulg?
No.
Fucking incredible. So he just released this EP called Bubblegum, and this is what he wrote in the in the footnotes of it. He said, in this album, I was trying to explore the idea of pop music on PCP. PCP has fantastic lore around it, and I think the most fascinating thing about it is that it seems as many people have had these experiences where they took PCP and it presented them with an alternate reality, and they accepted it without question. It's as if the umbilical cord of knowing that you were high was cut, and the person taking it is fully immersed in the trip. Not only that, but from some of the accounts, the alternate reality seems quite twisted and perverse. There are reports of people disemboweling and eating each other, or deciding that the best course of action is self-mutilation or castration, and then emerging from the trip still convinced it was the right choice.
Wow.
or even the accounts of people gaining superhuman strength and fighting off 5 or 6 cops at once. It seems like there is something quite dark on the other side of that door. So for this album, I tried to write what I imagine the pop music of that alternate reality might sound like. He said, what would happen to the sugary, sweet, wet dream corporate-sponsored top 40 hits if we hit them in angel dust and got wet? What would happen if we slopped all of those fun summer hits into the meat grinder of the PCP reality tunnel and just pushed them through? I like to imagine an intersection under an overpass in a cyberpunk dystopian future. It's midnight and you can see the neons from the storefronts on the other side through the thick smoke. Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
What a genius.
Yeah, let me just show you something real quick. Can you hear this?
Yes.
Yeah, so it sounds like this is PCP pop music. Yeah, it's fucking twisted.
It kind of reminds me of like Coil or something. It's like fucking good.
Insanely glitchy and just stretched and fucked and just like crazy pop vocals in there. It's everything I needed this morning.
I can't wait to listen to that.
Yeah, dude, I'll link it in the chat here so you can just have it sitting there ready for later.
Thank you.
Let's go. Bam, in the chat. Yeah, dude, Woolg is fucking amazing. All right, let's move on with some more. Oh yeah, dude, I wanted to ask you this before when we were chatting about it, but luckily somebody here has asked it already in Twitter. At DJ Sunset Eyes says, can you please have him talk about India / his trip there and just Hinduism and Buddhism, which is like something I meant to ask when you were talking earlier, but I didn't want to like cut you off or anything. But yeah, how did you get into Buddhism and like, what is it like? How does it affect your life these days? And yeah, I'd love to talk about Buddhism a bit because my experience with it is like, I think last time we talked about on your podcast, I was saying I was going through like addiction problems and stuff.
Yes.
Like that. And I just like constantly deal with that.
Same.
Yeah, I'm an addict and that's just how it is. So I like started going to AA meetings and shit. And I was like, dude, this is not for me. This is like way too culty and weird. But then I found this like other type of AA meeting called Refuge Recovery, which is supposed to be non-theistic. So they don't say like, you have to subside, like, submit to a god and all that shit, but rather it's based around Buddhism. So that's kind of like my only experience with Buddhism. But it was good, and it seems to have like grounded me a little bit, somewhat solved my problems, at least kept them at bay for as much as you can. But yeah, what's your experience been with Buddhism? And I'd love to hear about it.
Well, it's a big question. I
guess a good place to start is just like, how did you get into it?
Well, so what happened was I was going to all these Ram Dass retreats, and I was, getting to interview Ram Dass in front of people at the retreats, and just like, it was really like, and they would let me say anything. They would let me say all these blasphemies, like at the Ram Dass retreat, there's a group of people who are into bhakti yoga and who have a real connection to Hanuman, and which a lot of people have definitely seen pictures of Hanuman. He's a monkey, basically. He isn't, but that's what one of the forms Hanuman takes. So, monkey. He's a monkey. So, but obviously there's much more there that represents. So I was, sitting on stage talking to Ram Dass. I think one of my questions to him was something on the lines of like, if everything's impermanent, isn't Hanuman impermanent too? Like, isn't like any kind of theistic anything impermanent? And I don't remember even what the answer was, but sitting in the audience was someone who became my meditation teacher, David Nichtern, who was a student of Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. And so he thought that was fucking funny that I asked that question to people who were into bhakti yoga. It was I think he thought of it as a very Buddhist question. But anyway, like later, like Raghu Marcus, who's one of my mentors and also a teacher of mine, he like came up to me. He's like, Duncan, you know, somebody said to me, you seem real nice and everything, but what's your practice? Don't you have any practice? Do you have any spiritual practice? And I got so mad. It's like, what the fuck? No, I don't. I wasn't doing any kind of discipline or anything. I was just like yapping. And so I was like, who said that? He's like, you know, this David Nickturn said that. And I was like, well, I want to talk to him. And then we started talking. And I don't know. It's like, he's so cool and basic and normal and not weird at all. And not like, that's what I love about him is like, and then in the lineage of Buddhism that he is, you know, I work with is very basic, very simple. And for me, that's exactly what I need. I want it, like my ego wants me to be levitating and walking through walls and to have telepathy and like, you know, all these things. Like there's a real spiritual materialism possibility inside of me where I want to be recognized. I want to be seen as like advanced. I want to be this sophisticated. This is what's known as spiritual materialism. And a lot of people get caught up in that. And it's a normal part of the path actually, which is like you want to get recognized. You know, you want a trophy. Like every once in a while I'll get on Instagram a message from someone saying, I am now enlightened and I would like to talk to you about it. I want to talk and it's like, what they really, I think, are wanting is not to talk to me about it. What they want is for me to say, you're enlightened. And that's spiritual materialism because they want a trophy that they can put on their wall, which says, I'm enlightened. And, or another thing about it is like, you know, you can end up with like all kinds of shit around your house. You know, Buddhas and Hanumans and Ganeshas and crucifixes and pictures of this guru and that guru and all kinds of stuff all over the fucking place, all over your house. It's a little bit like modular synths, man. You can end up with like a wall of modular fucking synths that you don't understand and you definitely don't fucking use. And like, that's what happens with a lot of different spiritual lineages that people get involved in is like, you know, most of them have something that's going to lure you in. And the reason it's there is compassion, because the idea is there might be a way for you to not experience suffering at the level you're experiencing it. So look, here's this thing or that thing. Very shiny, generally, very pretty, very sexy looking, very cool looking, a lot of potential promises in there. And then once they lure you in, then all of a sudden something starts happening to you that is not very what you were hoping would happen. Like it's no longer pleasant. It's not like you're getting your ego gratified. All of a sudden, in fact, a lot of these paths are inviting you to abandon your identity completely, to drop it like an old fucking teddy bear that some like adult infant has been dragging around for way too long. And that is not cool for a lot of people. That when they get to that point, they're like, you know what? This isn't for me. And then they find something else. And then they get to that same place with that thing and like, this isn't for me. And then they find something else. That's spiritual materialism. And so the Buddhism I study is in the lineage of Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. But it's, you know, all Buddhism has this like convergent point around the Four Noble Truths, which, you know, are not limited to any particular path. But are more of a process, which is another thing I love about it, which is, whereas like some faith-based paths are inviting you to just believe. And in that is a satanic thing that happens where you're invited to discard your rational fucking mind. Like so much exploitation happens there where you this thing that like has kept you alive and food in your stomach and like kept you functioning in the world. Someone's like, no, that's wrong. That's totally wrong. The next thing you know, someone's like literally like sexually abusing you and making you think it's normal, you know, or taking your money or asking you to subvert your everything inside of you, telling you this is fucked up. I know this isn't true. I mean, it's the history of cults, you know? So what I like about the Four Noble Truths is that this is a thing that's like the invitation is you must study this. You don't just get to like this. It's like you don't get to just like believe in this anymore. Look, you could believe that if you stop eating fucking bowls of cereal at night, you're going to lose weight. But if you keep eating bowls of cereal at night, you're not going to lose the weight. Just the belief isn't enough. There, you have to study and practice. And so that's what I love about Buddhism is it's more of a process wrapped around this idea of like why human suffering exists. And that process is part of it involves hyper skepticism, hyper cynicism. You're not supposed to just hear life is suffering, dukkha, and just be like, okay, life is suffering. Is it? What does that even fucking mean? Or the cause of suffering is attachment. Well, what does that mean for you personally, subjectively? Is that even true? And if it's true, well, like, what does that imply? Then why are you suffering if you know that? What's going on there? And then within the next two noble truths, the cause of suffering is attachment, and or rather, if we stop being attached, we'll stop suffering. And there's a methodology to help us no longer be attached. According to again, even the terminology is confusing because you hear attachment and you might think, oh, I get it. I'm attached to Game of Thrones, or, oh, I get it. I'm attached to my car or my family or my job or my whatever, all that stuff. But it actually goes a little bit deeper to than that. It's not just, but you can start there.
Is not the cause of suffering essentially the intolerance of feelings? Like, it's kind of like if you're sitting there, right, and you're like, there is the like, I'm attached to Game of Thrones, and if I don't get Game of Thrones, like, what's below that, right? It's like an intolerance of like not being able to sit there with your feelings without having Game of Thrones, like
aversion. So so it's like basically another way to put what you just said is it's just never enough, never fucking enough. No matter what you're doing or where you're at, it's not quite enough. And that, one of the words for that, that's called fundamental dissatisfaction. So you're just like, wherever you may be, there's always like a possibility of adding something that maybe will make the experience better, or removing something, or removing yourself. And this gets very sophisticated for people, and it essentially creates a life around you. This never-ending process of trying to fix your situation. So so what happens if instead of like being in this never-ending project to try to rearrange your situation, what happens if you actually are just in the situation? What happens if instead of like even telling yourself a story about the situation or redefining the situation, I think a lot of people call it polishing a turd. What happens if for a second you just let it be a turd? So because what generally the idea is like, try to find yourself. Just spend any amount of time trying to identify like yourself. Like, what are you? Where are you? Where are you hanging out? Where does your heart? What are you really? Find yourself. Just find it. Find yourself, and then that's a fun and queer inquiry that it's a lot of people don't want to do, because they realize pretty quickly, I can't find myself. I don't know where I am. I don't remember the first 10 years of my life. You know what I mean? I don't remember what I ate for lunch a few days ago. I don't know what am I? Am I a bundle of impulses? Am I the story I tell people about what I like? Am I Twitter bio? Am I my Instagram bio? What the fuck? Where am I? Where am I in my body? Where does my mind hang out? Like, what the fuck am I? Where am I? It can become really confusing for people really fast, because the whole story they've been telling themselves their whole life is, well, I'm a me. I'm a separate thing from you, and I'm a me. And so this is attachment. You're attached to a delusion. You're attached to like a kind of basic ignorance of your actual identity. And in that basic ignorance, you go through this never ending iteration of a process of pushing yourself into reality. So you're like, you're always telling yourself a story, an explanatory story about why you're where you're at and where you should be and what's coming and where you were and what went wrong and why it went wrong and all of these things. And in that process, you're subscribing to some past that definitely isn't here anymore, some future that certainly isn't here anymore. And it's just a lot of bandwidth, man. You're like, there's a lot of fucking apps up on your computer if you're doing that. And so the practice of meditation is the practice of like, okay, well, what happens if I just sit down? What would happen if I just stop all this for a second? Like, what happens if I stop the project? I'm just going to sit down.
As Sam Harris describes it, your brain gets hijacked by the most boring person alive.
Yeah.
Telling you the same bullshit over and over again. You're just like, could you
there you go.
Fuck up, please?
There you go. There you go. That's a great way to fucking put it. You sit down, just sit. I mean, it's like you want to talk about like proof that we're in a goddamn simulation. Sit still for 20 minutes, right? Why is that hard? Why the fuck is it hard to sit down with no machines and no devices and just keep your eyes open and stare at a diagonal? Why is that hard? Why is it hard to do that for 20 minutes? Why do you feel like you're on fire? Why do you suddenly like want to fall asleep or take a shit or write a poem or call your mom? What the fuck is happening in that 20-minute period that is so incredibly intolerable? It's just you. You're just sitting still. It doesn't make sense. Why is that hard? And that is a really good question to ask. And the practice of meditation is one way of asking that question. And or in Tibetan Buddhism, it's known as Gom, which means self-knowing, familiarity with the self. So just like Sam Harris says, just in that 20-minute, 30-minute, 45-minute period that you're sitting, all of a sudden you start seeing this thing he's talking about. It's like having a dog in your backyard, except it's not barking. It's yelling out like various shit affirmations about who you are as a person, or telling you like, you might have cancer. You might have cancer. Why did I say that last night? I shouldn't have said that. God, I'm a piece of shit. God, I'm a piece of shit. I gotta eat. I'm hungry. I don't eat good enough. Well, am I balding? Oh, fuck. Why did I say that to my mom? I'll never be a good enough person. What would happen if a nuclear bomb went off in Washington? You know what I mean? Like, it's this infinite loop thing that's happening up there. And so just the process of sitting and watching that, getting familiar with that, it creates a little bit of space, I think, between you and that crazy fucking dog in the backyard of your brain. And so then maybe somewhere in there, you stop believing the thought process so much. That's, so for me with Buddhism, just to wrap up this long-winded rant, Sharon Salzberg is a great Buddhist teacher. She was telling me, she was talking to this little girl who's learning mindfulness. And the little girl said, mindfulness is what keeps me from punching my brother in the face. I like that. So it's not a big deal for me. What it does for me is not a big deal. In this, but it's really nice to have a few moments in between when an event happens where normally I would respond in a really angry way, and realizing like, I don't need to do that. I don't have to believe the explanatory process in my mind that's instantly happening regarding why this person cut me off in traffic or why this person is seeming.
I think it's fine to do that. Like, I think the correct way to respond to anger is to be angry, right? Like, without letting yourself be that and like grieve through that process, basically, like you end up just bottling it up or something. But I think the important thing, at least for me, is like before I get angry, to just like go, I'm about to get fucking angry. Like, let's just take a step and just think about like what is actually even happening here. So you can even just understand it or even identify it. And I think just that action of just thinking about like what it is and like turning the attention back in on itself is can do a lot to just like at least make the suffering or the experience of being angry or sad or whatever last, instead of hours or minutes, last like seconds.
There you go. And that's it. Or lifetimes even. And just that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's great. That's great. That's all I could ever ask for in any kind of path or lineage. You know, it's just that. I mean, the whole possibility that you can actually stop suffering as a human being and gain enlightenment in this lifetime and all that sounds great. Cool. But you know what? I just want to be a good dad right now. And you know what I mean? I don't want to blow up so much when shit isn't going my way. You know, that's where I'm at right now. And if I can get enlightened in this lifetime, whatever that may mean, beautiful. But what I love about Buddhism is that it has a place for both, you know, and that's really nice. It's a wonderful, I highly recommend this book right now. If you're interested, it's called Cynicism and Magic. It's really good. Just came out.
Cynicism and Magic. I will grab that shit.
You'll love it.
By Chogyam Trungpa.
There you go. Yeah. And Devendra Banhart reads it and he's like got the perfect cult leader voice. I fucking love the way he reads it.
Dude, hell yeah. I have an Audible credit. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
Purchased. That actually leads us really well into the next question, because you're just mentioning about like all you're trying to do right now is be a good father. We have a question here from a guy on Discord named OG Papa Swank, who says, what are some of your favorite parts about being a father? And also, what are some of your parts about being in a free, I guess he means, what are some of your favorite parts about being in a free love relationship?
Oh, well, I'll start with the free love relationship thing. Friend, we don't have time. We're married now. I mean, we got kids. It's like we always talk about it. Someday it'll happen again. But right now, like I don't have time to, we're scheduling sex. You know what I mean? So adding someone else to that is impossible. Impossible right now, I think. Right. Maybe not. It's like a fantasy now between us. But you know what is nice is to know it's a possibility. I mean, I think a lot of people, if they get in like a kind of like super monogamous relationship, that the possibility flies out the window. So I think you're just like, well, you're only going to be experiencing me for the rest of your life, and I'm only going to be experiencing you for the rest of your life. So let's pretend to be happy about that. You know, so it's nice to know there's some other possibility down the line. But, you know, I think when you have kids, it's super important. Just stability, structure, make sure that like the decisions you're making lead to a stable world for them to exist in, whatever that decision may be. And I don't think there's any reason why those two things can't coexist. In fact, I know many people who are very successfully doing that very thing, which is great. But as far as being a parent, I mean, it's like you need someone to serve in the world, you know, service. It's nice. It's important. You need something to someone to help. You know that if you can help. That's a maxim I think I heard the Dalai Lama say. It sounds so obvious, but people forget it. If you can help. If you can't help, don't hurt. Just those two things is make those your commandments. You'll have a great life. And when you having kids, it's like now I have something, there's always something to help. There's always something to do. There's always a way for me to practice putting down my project, my agenda, what I want to have happen in my own life and all of my selfishness and sit with a being fresh to the universe and like just be in that moment with them. That is a practice. That's like for me, a real spiritual practice. And I love that. I have moments within that relationship that transcend any of what used to be my favorite psychedelic moments, you know, sunrise at Burning Man, or like, you know what I mean? Like the greatest, like, you know, meeting some alien in the K-hole, or like, you know, being embraced by the goddess on mushrooms. All those things are what I were to me peak experiences, but they pale in comparison to the experience of just holding my child and giving him milk. Just the experience of that. It's like it's like a doorway opens up into this realm where I'm no longer like encumbered by the barking dog of my mind, and where I'm no longer just a me anymore, and I'm no longer locked into myself. It's beautiful and powerful. And not just those moments, just like, the feeling of like love, the sense of like of transcendent love, and the sense of like, my God, I don't understand any of this. Like, I don't know whatever I thought the universe was, that's not it at all. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I ever will. And I don't mean I'm confused necessarily, just like this sense of awe at how just the most simple, basic formation in our species is more than enough. Is just that. Like, what are you going to do? Improve on that? Like, how are you going to do better than this? And I think that my early days, there's that weird idea of like, I'm going to upgrade this reality, man. I got to figure it out. I know, okay, the whole like have kids thing. Yeah, you go do that, breeder. I'm going to restructure the paradigm. And then when you're in the situation, for me, it's like really like, and you get that kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe I thought like that. I can't believe I was so proud and so full of myself and so certain of myself that I dismissed the flow of genetic life for my species into time. It's like a kind of antiquated way of being, and I love that because it really does like create a wonderful sort of energy. It's humbling.
Yeah, dude. Sobriety is the weirdest drug of them all. It's true. Pippa told me that.
Who told you that?
Pippa.
What's hip? Your group? Oh, Tipper. Oh yeah, sobriety. Oh yeah, exactly. That exactly. That is enough. It's enough. It's like that's enough. And I think that's probably a lot of times when people are getting high, it's like actually you're weirdly coming down. Yeah. Because you can't take the intensity of day-to-day reality, which is the most psychedelic shit ever. So you're like sort of trying to like numb it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Gabor Mate, however you say his name, his whole sort of thesis on addiction is like not why the addiction, but why the pain. Like, what are you trying to numb? What's below that?
Oh yeah, that's good. That's getting to the root of it. That's like the root of karma.
Yeah, dude. If you haven't already read it or listened to it, I highly recommend "In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts" by Gabor Mate.
Ooh, I have it. That's cool though. The hungry fucking ghosts, man. I love that, and I love that story of what they are.
Yeah, dude.
I'm writing it down right now.
Fuck yeah, dude. Well, hey, man, I know you have to write, and I actually have to as well. But dude, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Are you kidding, man? Thank you. This was, you're a really great interviewer, and thanks for letting me ramble. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Like every time I was letting you ramble here, I was just like letting you go off with like an incredible guitar solo or something like that.
Oh, thank you. It's real. Listen, I know this is you have an open invitation to anytime you want to come to Asheville, man, come stay with us.
I've been meaning to. I'd love to come, and I've been meaning to go hang out with Dave for a while. So yeah, I should make a trip out there. I'm super into mountain biking right now too, so I should just make a trip out there and hang out with
you. Dude, will you come? I want to learn how to mountain bike. I'm mountain biking adjacent. I'm always on the precipice of buying a mountain bike, but even the people who sell mountain bikes right now are like, why don't you wait a few months? It's like crazy how much they cost right now.
It kind of is. Yeah. I mean, I bought one recently. It was like 10 grand, man. You can easily drop like 10, 20 grand on the Lamborghini of mountain bikes.
But I can rent one. I would, and I know a place where I've always seen people mountain biking, like relatively close to where I'm at. We should do it. See if Tipper wants to come.
He definitely does. I've talked to him about it as well. But 100%, yeah, let's do it, man. I mean, I got some shows towards the end of the year, but I think early next year or something, I'm pretty free.
Yeah, let's make it happen, man. And then after we end this, can I ask you are we done with the podcast? I have actually like a boring question for you.
Let me stop my recording. All right, stop that one.